Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. You always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flaws, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
I'm gonna say this loud enough for the people in the back. You know when your life's gonna change? When you stop running back to the things that God is trying to save you from. When you stop pressing rewind on the things that need to be deleted from your life. When you stop hanging on to the things that you know you need to let go of. Let me tell you this, moving on isn't always about knowing where you're going. It's about knowing where you're no longer stand and what you refuse to go back to. Straight up.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Well, good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. Guess what day it is? Hump day. It's nice to see you all here this morning. We're going to probably break this up into two segments today, and here's why. The reason why I'm here an hour early, I was going to go live at 9, is because I forgot I had a vision appointment. Last appointment today. We got aging eyes over here. So I decided to go ahead and push this forward. I'm going to try to get through everything that we've got in this, and then we'll come back and have a different discussion later this afternoon. But for the time being, we're going to get through what we can get through today. And today's segment is the days of our lives, right? Remember the drama, what do they call it? Soap opera? The soap opera. Well, this is the Bryan Kohberger soap opera, right? Because we're watching all this unfold. I mean, we're making a little light of it. It's not a joking matter. I mean, this is a serious event. But it's just wow. It's like every time we go to court, every time we hear about an expert, we're wondering, like, how in the world is he getting this A-team? He's an indigent individual. Like, we're all just scratching our heads saying, what in the world is going on here? And everybody under the sun, nobody can talk. I mean, Lord have mercy. Hell, you can't even focus on him now, right? You're not even allowed to have a camera on him. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Insane. But, they say it's because Bryan Kohberger has a right to a fair trial, and somehow all of this interferes with that. Okay. I mean, if the courts say it, it must be true. I don't know. So we're watching all of this stuff unfold, right? Before our very eyes. We didn't get an opportunity yesterday. I was hoping before I signed off that we would have the video. We went through as much information as we could give you at that time because, I mean, we're at the mercy of the tweets, right? I got to be honest with you. It is an insane process back here. That's why I chose not to do the trial live, because it is absolutely an insane process. I did it one time. I didn't like it. I'm on tweets. I'm waiting for people to tweet. And it's like, come on, guys, what's going on? We're all here just impatient. I wasn't going to do it again. But I still had that. I still had to go through that process, whether you guys were here with me or not, because I was sitting there putting the tweets out as they were happening. But this time I had plenty of time to research which news organizations were actually going to be there. And so we were able to have multiple organizations providing us great feed. Which, if you don't follow me on Twitter, you might want to, because in cases like this, that's where the info is. That's where I'm tweeting from. I'm throwing a lot of information out there as it's coming in. And so we went live shortly after that, and we were going to talk about a completely different topic. We were going back to the Giglio material, the Giglio and Brady material, and we were going to talk about the DNA and everything like that. Like, they withheld, they pulled that motion to compel, that third motion to compel. We had a laundry list of hearings that were going to go on yesterday, and they didn't go forward. I think we only had the motion to compel, the first motion to compel, and the second motion to compel. That was it. That was all that was heard. And not all the items on those motions to compel were actually presented to the courts. They limited those down, I think, to 2 or 3, maybe possibly 4. We'll listen to it again and get a good count of the motion to compel items that they need. But I know they're asking for like training material. They're asking for, oh Lord, what was the other stuff here? What did they have here? Looking for training officers. The judge widened the gag order to include police officers and investigators. The judge warned about the cameras. I mean, it was just like, okay. But anyways, before we get started, good morning, everybody. I'm Bullhorn Betty. If you're here for the first time, we're covering the Idaho 4 and the Bryan Kohberger case. Bryan Kohberger is accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in their off-campus housing in Moscow, Idaho, in the early morning hours of November 13th. And since then, this has just been one really bizarre case, and it's kind of gripped the nation and gripped the world, because it's like, wow. And every time we turn around, it's another wow. And so, I mean, the theatrics going on in the courtroom are no different than what we would expect. And so we're going over a lot of information here, but for those that didn't get an opportunity, I'm sure by now, you know, every other channel under the sun, if you're a true crime, you're probably watching this stuff on every channel. But good morning, Sheila. The first to say good morning to Bullhorn Betty and chat. Mac J, nice to see you. Angie, it's great to see you as well. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you have not already done so, and consider hitting that as you're coming in. Kathy S. Sonia, nice to see you. The real me too. Turkey Man, I see you're in the house. And these are all from early this morning. So you guys were just having a good old conversation. Jennifer, it's nice to see you. So I don't know how many of you guys are still around right now, because that was really early. I was like, I guess we're getting down here. So Cool Gamer, it's nice to see you. Sonia, Gigi for life, Flow Girl 183 or 183 813. I do not have dyslexia, I swear to God. Mary, Rebecca, ZA. What else do we have? Lady 7 Up, our yesterday's birthday girl. I think it was yesterday. I don't know. My days are starting to run together. She's a recent birthday girl. Pen 1010, Sean, it's nice to see you. Gail, Michelle, and Saints Rocketall. Your name is so hard for me. But Cherry Lover, it's nice to see you. Mac J is here. Nice to see you, Mac J. So before we get started, I'm just going to go ahead and just start jumping right into this, because we are on a kind of a time constraint, because my eyes matter, right? I gotta get the baby blues checked. So let me go ahead and pull this up, and we'll go ahead and get started with the beginning, right? We're going to get started with the beginning. Thank you for the two. Hold on, before we get started, let me go back to my comments. I believe we had just 2 members. How did I miss you guys? I must, Crazy P, Allie, I see you. I guess I must have jumped down by accident. There we go. MJ, thank you. God bless you. I believe you've been a member before. Oh, Christina, God bless you as well. It's nice to see you, love. Nice to see you. So let's go ahead and just get started on this. And this is the kind of, you know, the gearing up before, right?
News Channel 7's Morgan Romero was in court in Moscow this afternoon. A shorter hearing than expected. Morgan, what did happen?
This is just a...
Yeah, well, Doug, they were originally supposed to address several issues, but today's hearing was a lot quicker than we expected, ended a lot sooner than we had anticipated, and there was quite a bit of confusion in the courtroom. They only took up one of the 4 issues that were on the calendar, 2 motions to compel discovery filed on behalf of the defense rather than all the other issues. So the attorneys, I'm told, are working on these other things behind the scenes, and those include a motion to release grand jury proceedings, transcripts, records, materials, as well as a motion to stay or pause proceedings. A spokesperson with the Idaho Judicial Branch says it's not unusual for attorneys to work on this behind closed doors and do this sort of thing. But the prosecution and the defense do disagree about whether or when certain records should be disclosed to the defense. Attorneys were also supposed to take up a 3rd motion to compel discovery. I mentioned they talked about 2 motions to compel. There is a 3rd, and that has to do with the defense wanting documents related to DNA and the genetic genealogy investigation that the FBI did that led them to Kohberger. But yesterday, the state asked for more time to respond to that ask, and the judge granted it. As for what was brought up in court today, the defense wants training records of officers who did interviews with key witnesses, followed up on tips, collected bits of evidence. But the state says it's out of scope under Idaho rules, and they won't call those officers to testify at trial. They say it's not material to their case.
So as you're getting the theme, these requests and what the prosecution has to turn over is exculpatory evidence and stuff that they're going to be relying on at trial. And they're basically, their argument with this, as well as the genetic genealogy testing, right, is about basically the same. We're not relying on that at trial. And, you know, it didn't derive any evidence to do anything, right, basically.
The judge says he'll consider arguments from both sides on this. He'll look at case law and then make a decision. Kohberger's defense attorney, Ann Taylor, is still asking prosecutors for investigative reports and conclusions from all cell phone analysis that was done by the FBI CAST team to find the location of Kohberger's phone. That information, as we've previously reported, was used in the probable cause affidavit to arrest Kohberger and get several search warrants. Taylor also wants reports from the FBI forensic examiner related to the change in the year of the white Hyundai Elantra that they were looking for in their search for the suspect. She said prosecutors told her they'll give her some of that info, but they don't know when, so she asked the court to set a deadline.
And as the court is aware, the state has filed its notice of intent to seek death against Mr. Kohberger. These are critical, relevant material.
News Channel 7's.
Oh, sorry. So that was kind of, that's kind of everything in a nutshell. And by the way, Nancy Taylor, she was rocking it out yesterday. A lot of people on social media noticed the hair, the outfit. She was dressed to the nines for that court appearance, and very professional. She, it was a little weird because for me, it was a little weird because you could really kind of see her toning it down. Oh, I see a couple other people that came into the chat. Just to shout out real quick. I saw Mab in the house. Sean, it's nice to see you. Gail, Slim Skittles, O Lady O, B Betty fan, Angie B, Stacy, Allie, Michelle, who cares, and Regina. Good morning. Good morning, all. So she was. We had that wasn't really an affidavit. What? We've been referring to it all week, and my brain is running amok here. And it's the objection to state's motion for protective order that Jay wrote, Jay Logsdon. And his objection was pretty argumentative, if you ask me. I mean, it was a little comical in some areas, but there's portions where they're saying that, that the prosecution is intentionally withholding their entire case. He said stuff like that almost implied that the FBI is trying to frame Bryan Kohberger. I mean, there was just some really bizarre, off-the-wall assertions in that objection. And so we kept hearing Nancy Taylor at this, and we're going to get to it in just a second. It's about a half hour, and I'm going to run it for everybody here so I at least know. Good morning, Jules. It's nice to see you. So at least I know that everybody on, that comes to this channel has had an opportunity to preview it in its entirety. So I'll be playing that for you guys here just in a second. But, getting back to the whole reason why they were there was a laundry list of pleadings. It went down to a couple pleadings. They were in and out in a half an hour. But anyways, Logsdon wrote this pleading, and it implied a lot. And so you got to see Nancy Taylor kind of walking some of that back. If you notice how diligent she was about, kept saying, I don't believe the prosecution is withholding this. I kind of believe that they just haven't received it yet. She went out of her way to let the judge know that it's almost like she was basically publicly stating that she didn't agree 100% with Jay, or she wanted to make sure that the judge knew, at least for the motion to compel 1 and 2, she didn't believe that the defense was, or the prosecution was intentionally withholding material necessary to the case. That came in with the, if I'm not mistaken, the motion to compel for the third discovery request. And that's when he kind of, was really kind of aggressive with his language in that pleading. So you'll see her throughout this process constantly referring that she doesn't believe that the prosecution is intentionally withholding this. And I think it's because of how strong that language was from Jay Logsdon. So I'm going to go ahead and play this now for you, and then we'll kind of have a little conversation. I try not to pause when we go through the first one, but I just might, because if I see something that just pops out at me, it's sometimes just easier to pause and have a little, discussion on that, or some commentary on that, and then move on, as opposed to trying to find it later and rewind to it and stuff like that. So just bear with me. Again, we are on a time crunch, which is why, I may have to pause it, because I don't have the time to go back to it and discuss what I need to discuss. All right, so bear with me.
All rise. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, let's get on the record, please. Thank you. Okay, we're on the record. This is State of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger, case number CR 29222805. Mr. Kohberger is in the court. He is represented by Ms. Taylor, Mr. Lobston, and Ms. Nassett. The state is represented by Mr. Thompson and Ms. Jennings, also Mr. Nye and Ms. Beatty. And we're here for some motions, discussions. And before we get there, I want to address,
I knew I wasn't going to be able to go without pausing it. So now he's about to, before anything even starts, they've got the camera on Bryan Kohberger right now, and he stops the proceedings, basically, right? Let's listen.
Really everybody about the revised amended dissemination order. Apparently there's some misunderstanding about
He's doing the non-dissemination
who it
order.
applies to and who it doesn't apply to. Because what I thought, and this is 100% my responsibility, I used the term agents, and the revised order says that the prosecuting attorneys, defense attorneys, any agents of the prosecuting attorneys and defense attorneys are affected by this order. Apparently, some of the media interpreted that as it doesn't apply to law enforcement, but it does. So law enforcement they are agents of the prosecuting attorneys. Now, I'm going to issue another another revised order, just to make sure that that is clear, because people seem to be very confused about that. Agent, definition of an agent is one that acts or has the power or authority to act. Another definition is one empowered to act for or represent another. So I'm going to include law enforcement for the prosecuting attorney's agents, and for the defense attorneys, investigators. So it's clear. I think it's sort of doubling down on the definition, but apparently that's necessary. I'm also going to add.
I don't know if it's necessary to add it to the order. I mean, if law enforcement knows that they're an agent, then they just turn it down and say, we're acting under a non-dissemination order. Does he need to double down on here? I mean, can law enforcement not say, I'm not allowed to have an interview when media calls them? I mean, I like. Do you think that this is going to prevent media from calling them? I mean, like, tomato, tomato, right? Tomato, tomato.
Obtained expert witnesses for each side because
Good morning,
we don't
Rosie.
want to have a trial in the media or in the public. We want it to be in the courtroom. Speaking of that, a comment on.
Oh, and another thing. Just a real quick question. How many people get the sentiments of this judge that he wants the trial in the courtroom and not in the public? Oh, we understand. I think at this point, anybody that's following this case understands. I don't think we need to keep modifying a non-dissemination order. I don't think that it's necessary. I think we're starting to kick a dead horse at this moment. I'm sorry. My opinion, right? In the grand scheme of things, what does it matter, right? It's just my opinion. I'm just saying that at this point, I think we're all just kicking a dead horse. I digress.
On the cameras, they're in the courtroom now, and I have deferred my decision about cameras. One of the things that's going to be really important that is
Judge is dangling a carrot. Come on. He, as soon as darn well, as soon as that is as soon as the media starts challenging this new non-dissemination order, if they choose to. Now, there's no saying, they may just say they've spent enough money on this cause, they're done. But we don't know. We haven't seen anything from the media coalition. And quite frankly, I haven't been reaching out to find out if anybody is planning on doing anything related to the media coalition. But come on. Judge, we know you're dangling the carrot, because as soon as somebody challenges that new non-dissemination order, you're kicking the cameras out of the courtroom. Like you're setting yourself up, right? He's saying this. Oh, we got to be careful. We can't focus on Bryan Kohberger. I'm like, it's starting to get so petty that it's borderline ridiculous at this moment for me. And maybe people in here don't disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. But just for me, it's starting to get awfully petty.
Is very important is that the people with the camera and media need to follow the rules. And we've had some issues where people were pushing the envelope, particularly focusing on the tables where counsel sits. You are not to turn your cameras toward the top of those tables. And if you do that, you're probably going to have to leave the courtroom. Also, one of the things that happened in the Daybell case is that the cameras just continued to focus on the defendant. Don't do that. That's what brought the cameras to have to leave the courtroom in that case. And what I would prefer, if you want to continue to have cameras in this courtroom, is to back off and not.
That seems to be his thing when he's trying to rein in authority, is y'all need to back off, right? Isn't that the same exact terminology that he used when the media coalition was challenging his non-dissemination order? If I recall, that is exactly what he told them. So it seems like this judge, anybody that seems to challenge him or, want something, it's, well, I'll give it to you if you just back off. And I don't know. And he keeps bringing up this Daybell case. He keeps bringing up the Daybell case quite a bit. So I'm curious if the Daybell case has these wide sweeping non-dissemination orders that are absolutely overbroad. I'm curious, right? Because he keeps bringing it up. So maybe I need to look into that case. Maybe we will. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Do we have that? Yeah, make sure that's muted.
All right, I'll try to limit my
Make sure that we just have the totality of what is happening in the court, and not just focus, for example, on Mr. Kohberger's face. So that was what happened in that case, and it's not appropriate. One other reminder to council, speak, and this is to myself, to speak into the microphone so we can have a good record. All right, I think those are my general announcements or cautions. And
general announcements and cautions.
Sort of boiled things down to some issues on a motion to compel discovery. Some of those issues have been resolved, some have not. So let me go to you, Ms. Taylor, to start off. Where do we start?
Your Honor, we would request that we start on defendant's motion to compel and second motion to compel. I believe the third motion.
So motion to compel number 1 and motion to compel number 2.
The two motions to compel, and I'll present my arguments whenever the court's ready, but I can direct the court exactly to the numbers and those motions to compel that are still up for discussion today and requested ruling from the court.
Excellent, I'm ready.
On the original motion to compel, we are only seeking the court to order number 6 be complied with.
See what I'm saying? But look at her. She's in a nice tailored suit, dress, skirt thing with nice pumps. She's got her hair nice and curled. You know, she's rocking it. She's rocking it. Her demeanor's great. She argued her position. I mean, for all intents and purposes, she did an amazing job yesterday. She did an amazing job yesterday.
In that particular motion.
Okay, let me take a look at that. Number 6, and so this is the motion to compel discovery that was filed on May 4th.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
Number 6. And that is request number 160.
That is for request number 160, and that is in the second supplemental discovery.
Okay, thank you. All right. And we're getting, is that me? Okay. Number 6.
Number 6 on that one, yes. On the second motion to compel, Your Honor, we are needing the court to order on request number 1, number 4, number 5, and I think that we have a plan for the other numbers, so those would be the 3 we need to work on.
Thank you. Let me make sure. Page. Okay, number 1 is request 1. Before is request 23.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, it's number 2, request 4.
Okay, I apologize. Number 2, request 4. Okay, and you said number 5.
And number 5, which is request 109.
That's the second motion to compel discovery.
Correct.
Hey, Diesel. Nice to see you, Jules. Nice to see you, Just Debbie. Good morning.
All right. You want to make an argument about those?
I would love to.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Your Honor, first, I want to start with talking about the discovery process. As the court knows, we have been representing Mr. Kohberger since the very end of December of 2022. And during the course of the last several months, there has been a lot of discovery that's been requested and a lot that's been supplied. I come here asking the court to compel discovery I'm seeking an order directing that we receive this discovery. I'm not seeking any other kind of sanction. I don't come here saying that the prosecutor has done something wrong. I come here saying that there are things that we have a disagreement about whether I should get them or when I should get them.
See, she's saying, let's go back to that. I want you guys to hear that because she's strenuously stating this over and over again. And I really believe it's because of how Jay wrote that last motion to compel.
The things that we have a disagreement about any other kind of sanction. I don't come here asking the court to compel discovery. I'm seeking an order directing that we receive this discovery. I'm not seeking any other kind of sanction.
She's not seeking sanction.
I don't come here saying that the prosecutor has done something wrong. I come here saying that there are things.
See how she's going? She's elaborating, saying, I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. These are the reasons why I keep, because I read this, this objection, we've read it for the last couple of days and started breaking it apart and seeing if it holds water. And, there's been multiple places in here where, especially like on page 4, that he basically is alleging that Bryan could potentially have been framed by law enforcement. So it was a really strongly worded objection to the protective order. And so I think that's why she's downplaying this and making sure that she's letting them know, I'm not looking for sanctions. I don't think they're doing anything wrong. She's going over and above to make that statement loud and clear before the court, in my opinion.
Things that we have a disagreement about whether I should get them or when I should get them, and we seek a court order to assist us in this regard. Yesterday, we filed an exhibit that related to our motions to compel, and the purpose of that exhibit was to show the court how the discovery is coming in and what we are weeding through to try to find the information, and to let the court know that our office is making extraordinary efforts. Mr. Kohberger's team works nonstop, and when we ask for discovery, it's because we have reason to believe it exists. So I wanted the court of counsel to be aware it's not a fishing expedition. These are real items that are really necessary to investigate this case and prepare Mr. Kohberger's defense. So with that as the background and the frequent communication with the prosecutor's office to try to obtain the materials we need, we have come to an impasse in a few areas, and that's what brings us to court today. As the court knows, discovery is governed by statute 1309 and Idaho Criminal Rule 16. And the purpose of discovery is really to prevent an unfair trial, to prevent trial by surprise, and also to protect a charged person's rights to meet their defense.
Oh, thank you, SoFlo, Mama.
Sixth Amendment rights.
Mama.
Sufficient and I prepared counsel, I should say, as we have a duty to investigate the case. So in preparing our case for Mr. Kohberger, we've asked for several things that we still need. I'll talk first about request number 6 in the first motion to compel, and that stems from discovery request 160. It's training records. These are training records of 3 specific police officers. Your Honor, we have not asked for training records for every officer that has had anything to do with the case. I would not want to stand here and let the court think that this is an exhaustive list of the officers that we might need training.
Julie just gifted 1 Bullhorn Buddy membership. Thank you, Julie. Oh, you gifted us a few. Thank you. God bless you.
These 3 officers are officers that have each conducted critical interviews with critical witnesses in the case, made decisions about the interviews, made decisions about evidence, and conducted other kinds of investigations. We seek their training records to understand their processes. The training records, Your Honor, they are records that...
Who believes that this lady wants the training records to see their process? Let's be real. She wants the training records for people that aren't even going to be called to testify at trial to try to, find something bad about them, right? Find that they pick their training completely and utterly apart. For people that aren't even going to be going on the stand, not going to even be testifying in this matter, I don't know. She'll most likely get them. If, I don't know if her arguments, she's saying it's only for 3, but you never know, because once you get the 3, you've already opened the door, and then you start asking for, more, because you already got that, right? You already showed a need for it. Now it's kind of hard to take that need back. Just my opinion.
We've been able to obtain from various police agencies in the past. In this circumstance, are not records that I can find on my own. These are not things that are on the internet. They're not going to just hand them over to me. The 2 of the officers that we've requested them about are Idaho State Police officers. I have often received training records for Idaho State Police officers in the preparation
Hi, Ann. Nice to see you, love.
during the course of my career. They are imperative for us to understand the specialty in interrogating and interviewing people, and for making the decisions that they make with regard to things taken as evidence in the case, or things followed up on or not followed up on. That is the purpose for those records, and we're asking the court to order the state to provide the training records for those 3 officers. Moving on then to our second motion to compel. And what we are looking for is a lot of information from the FBI CAST team, as well as the FBI forensic examiner team. What we're talking about here is the CAST team are the FBI examiners that use cell phone records to provide a lot of information that found its way into the probable cause affidavit that the state relied on in arresting Mr. Kohberger. I had the opportunity to meet with the prosecutor, and they indicate that we will be getting those items in number 1 and number 6 disclosed to us, but we don't know when. So I'm asking this court to issue an order with a date certain to obtain those records. These are bits of investigation that the FBI conducted that relate to Mr. Kohberger's cell phone, and the state has relied on that in their affidavit to say that Mr. Kohberger was in certain places at certain times. So these are bits of information and analysis that's been done since December. We are now at the end of June. We do not have those records yet, Your Honor. They are something that's been relied upon by the state for the PC affidavit to arrest Mr. Kohberger, as well as to obtain a variety of search warrants. It's information that the state has agreed we should have, so we ask the court for an order with a deadline to get that. I want the court to know I don't think that Mr. Thompson or Ms. Jennings are trying to withhold this. I think they'll give it to me when they have it, but I think an order from the court saying this is the date certain may help them get the information a little bit more rapidly. I'll move on to our last request, and that's number 2 in the second motion to compel, request number 4. And that has to do with the FBI forensic examiner that told the state to look for a white Hyundai Elantra. This is the examiner that originally there were certain years looked for, and that year range was expanded. I believe I have the communications between the police department and the FBI about how that date range changed, but what I don't have is the report from the examiner. I did receive the CD, curriculum vitae, from about the examiner late yesterday from the prosecutor's office, so I'm asking the court to order a deadline for the report to be given to the defense. Again, the court's read the probable cause affidavit that led to Mr. Kohberger's arrest, and the court can see that this vehicle identification was heavily relied on by the state to arrest Mr. Kohberger, as well as to obtain a lot of other search warrants. This is information that is very necessary for us to prepare our case. I don't think Mr. Thompson and Ms. Jennings are withholding anything. I think they don't have it, but I think we need a court order with a deadline so that we can get that. As the court is aware, the state has a duty to provide discovery to the defense. As the court is aware that not producing discovery, especially when it's material, can be a due process violation. And as the court is aware, the state has filed its notice of intent to seek death against Mr. Kohberger. These are critical, relevant materials, all of them, including the police training records. They're necessary for us to prepare and present our defense of Mr. Kohberger. They're necessary for us to do our investigation. They're necessary for us to prepare our case and our motion practice moving forward. These are things that we need to have. There is a heightened standard now that the state has filed its notice of intent to seek death, and these are very relevant, critical bits of information. They are discoverable, and we're asking the court to order that they be supplied to us.
Mr. Thompson or Ms. Jennings? Ms. Jennings.
So Ms. Taylor's correct. She has everything that the state has in our possession. And we have worked diligently and consistently in getting her all the information that we have in a quick fashion. To date, we have discovered approximately about 13,000 pages of reports, 13,000 photographs, over 10,000 tips, and over 51 terabytes of audio and video information. So we are down to just a few points of disagreement.
Sorry, Mike.
Oh, is it okay if I
Yes,
say?
yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
First, with regard to item number 6 on the defendant's first motion to compel discovery. This involves training records of a couple of officers. Again, these are officers who the state would argue are not material to the case. They've interviewed other witnesses. They wouldn't even be called by the state to testify at trial. And the state objects to this because training records of specified officers aren't included within Rule 16. And they haven't offered any reason as to why this would be needed for the preparation of their case. Again, these are investigators who have gone out and just interviewed some witnesses within the case. So we'd ask that you rule that this is outside Rule 16. I would just remind the court that several hundred investigators have been involved in this case. Our concern with allowing training records for these few, which we can't understand why there's a substantial need for these particular ones, wouldn't open the door to us then having to go and obtain training records for these hundreds of investigating officers who've been involved.
That's a good argument.
Outside of our control.
It's a good legal argument.
Moving on to the second motion.
That legal argument is similar to their argument related to the investigative genetic genealogy as well, right? Because there's so many, possible, lineal family, people that are, you see what I'm saying? So it's so vast that if they turn over this, they'll have to turn over it all. And, it creates this public record. Like, I kind of understand the state's argument when it comes to that investigative genetic genealogy and all the, possible matches, his familial matches that spanned, if any of us, I know that a few of us, at least in this chat, have done those ancestry DNA type of testings, where you spit in a little tube and you mail it back and they tell you about where you came from, what your percentage of ethnicity is, the regions where you came from. Mine actually came back with a map with little dots all over it. It was kind of interesting. It was just new. It was neat. It was almost like a prize when you got it. But this is the same argument, the hundreds of people, remember the informants, they're treating the the results, the hundreds of people that are potentially related to Bryan Kohberger that popped up in this search. They consider those confidential informants. I mean, it's clever. It's clever legal argument. And you got to think outside of the box with some of these legal arguments. So, he has not ruled on that yet, obviously. That was part of the motion to the motion for protection order, which was supposed to go on yesterday that didn't. They only discussed two motion to compels, the first motion to compel and the second motion to compel. And then the state asked for additional time, which was granted. So let's just get back to this.
As to item number 1, regarding cast information, Ms. Taylor has everything that we have. I've also, that includes reports from MTV officers. That she is seeking as a specific
Real me too, you're
report,
cute.
from the
Thank you.
FBI
God bless
task
you.
team, which I have indicated to her is in its final stages of review. And we are anticipating receiving sooner rather than later. And as soon as we do, we will turn that over.
Sooner than later.
Well, I don't have a date certain, but within the next few weeks.
You almost heard her grin when she's like, few weeks.
I think Ms. Taylor wants a date.
I don't have a date.
Not mistaken.
I've asked for a date, but that is not how the federal bureaucracy works.
That's, how about we say something like July 14th, unless there's some reason that they can't get that to you.
No objection.
That would be Ms. Taylor.
Yes, Your Honor. And then the state has substantially complied with request number 4, which is
Essentially complied and complied are two totally different things, folks.
Would ask for the exact same date certain of July 14th, only to obtain, if there is one, a potential report that's outstanding.
Is that acceptable, Ms. Taylor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Again, I mean, if there's some pitch in that, I mean, we can explore that, see what we can fix it.
Nothing for that, that takes care of everything.
Thank you, Ms. Jennings. Anything to respond to, Ms. Taylor?
Yes, Your Honor. I want to give it a little bit more on the police training records. I am aware that over 120 officers were involved in the investigation in this case. I am not asking for all 120 officers. I will tell the court that likely there are other officers' training records that I would want. This is within Idaho Criminal Rule 16. These are records, documents, and objects that may have information relevant to Mr. Kohberger's investigation.
May.
Defense. These are records that are likely of witnesses. Whether or not the state calls them, they are likely to be witnesses. The 3 that I'm asking for now, they have critical roles at various stages. One of the officers did a Spillman search for 2011 to 2013 under the Elantras to get to the FBI to look through this. One of them, that same officer assisted in the search program. This same officer interviewed witnesses from the scene of 1122 U Road on the 13th of November. This officer did follow up with some of the key witnesses in the case. This officer signed an Ada County lab agreement, and this officer handled and collected evidence. The second officer that I seek the information from did an interview with a key witness that's expected to testify when this case goes to trial. This officer also mentioned a specialty of working with victims and trauma victims. I think those training records are very relevant. The The interview of this key witness was one of multiple interviews of this same key witness by various law enforcement officers. There is a lot of information in the various interviews that's going to come into trial. This officer may well be subpoenaed by the defense to come to trial. That person's training records are very important. The last officer did multiple interviews, I think a dozen or so, many of them after the arrest of Mr. Kohberger. This officer also interviewed key witnesses in the case. This officer attended the autopsy proceedings. This officer followed up on tips. This officer made decisions about the tips that were given to law enforcement. And this officer also collected bits of evidence. Those functions that police officers make daily in their jobs, they make decisions about a case that later comes to court. They've made decisions about the case the state's going to present against Mr. Kohberger. They talked to key witnesses. How they do their job, how they were trained to do their job, and what they relied on is incredibly important. When they take the stand, they will say, based on my training and experience, Idaho Criminal Rule 16 talks about witnesses. This is information that the defense needs to conduct its investigation and preparation.
And in response to that,
Well,
I had a look. I thought maybe you wanted to say something else.
not necessarily, other than just to reiterate that this isn't covered by Rule 16, except for if the state were going to rely upon these witnesses and call them at trial, and then at that point, we would furnish all of that. Much of what Ms. Taylor is saying is just pure speculation.
You could say pure speculation, except she just had quite a list of what these particular officers were involved in investigations. So, we'll sort that out. Is that it with the motions to compel?
For today.
For today, of course.
Yeah, that's it. He's going to reserve his ruling. We know the other one had July 14th for the state's motion to enlarge time to respond to, one of the requests. So, it was kind of interesting. I've been going through a lot of this stuff, and of course, my friend. I call him my friend, acquaintance, I guess I could say, an acquaintance, Bryan Enton, my beloved Bryan Enton, right? You guys know I love Bryan Enton. I think he is, I don't think News Nation would be News Nation without this man here. I have to be honest. That's just my personal opinion. It means absolutely nothing, but I think Bryan could run the show all by himself. That's just my opinion. Okay, I digress. But he took over the Banfield show yesterday. And brought on a, body language expert. And I believe we've seen him from the behavior panel in the past. So let's just hear what he has to say. I thought it was pretty interesting. Brought a different perspective in Bryan Kohberger's demeanor than we've seen in a while. Many of you noticed that he didn't seem the same. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe this body language expert will fill us in. Let's see what he has to say.
Joined by one of those people, behavior and body language expert, Scott Rouse. Scott, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'm curious, again, because Twitter was exploding today with people reacting to seeing him in court, really just analyzing his every.
I have to be honest with you. I personally didn't get all of this that this body language expert did. Actually, as a matter of fact, my personal opinion of Bryan Kohberger's behavior it differs than this. I truly believe we saw a different demeanor in Bryan Kohberger personally. I saw him appear to be, in my opinion, more nervous. He didn't seem, and some people had said he appears to be more didn't appear to have that same confidence, that cockiness that he had coming in. But this was the first hearing we saw after he knew that the state is seeking the death penalty against him. He looked he looked different to me, and not this gentleman here, let me just separate, I can't play the whole video. I can only play clips of it. Basically what this man is saying, and you guys can go back. Actually, I'm probably not going to play too much of it. You guys can go and watch it for yourself. But this man basically says that, he seems relaxed, and, he talks about the pursing of his lips, and, his eye blinking is very minimal to a normal blinking pattern of a person, and then expresses what he believes could be causing that. So let's just listen to your, and we'll fast forward a little bit in some spots and just listen to what he has to say.
Every move. What did you make of him today? Because to me, he looked relatively calm. I don't know if that's something that his attorney Ian Taylor has sort of coached him on, but he looked calm and composed.
You're always going to get someone that's giving you witness prep in a situation like this. And there are things you want to look for and things you want to make sure you see and make sure everything that is supposed to be there is there. The thing that really caught my attention was the fact that he has a lot of pursed lips.
So what is a pursed lip? This is what he's referring to here. When you're going like this. That movement. And we see that quite often with Bryan Kohberger. And we also see the jaw movement over here. But there's something else. So he noticed the pursing of the lips, but there's some more. Here, let's listen to this.
Possibility of those. Another possibility would be we see those because those are the adapters he's using, the things he's using.
I got to the right spot. Good.
Which is caused by psychotic drugs, and that's what
he's saying. He's saying that he believes it's possible. He believes it's possible that Bryan is on some kind of antipsychotic drug or some kind of pharmaceutical that's most likely prescribed to him by a doctor that is causing some of these involuntary movements, such as, I think he referred to it as lizarding or something, where your tongue kind of comes out a little bit, whenever you like lick your lips or something. But let's just keep listening.
You get those for schizophrenia and depression or a bipolar disorder. That's one possibility of those.
That's a possibility.
Another possibility would be we see those because those are the adapters he's using, the things he's using to get rid of the built-up stress and tension. But I'm not seeing built-up stress and tension anywhere else. He's not using adapters in his hands. He's showing no facial expressions whatsoever. In the first video that Christopher, your producer, sent, where he was in the orange suit in court, we did see one smile very quick, but we didn't see much at all in the eyebrow movement, in the brow movement.
So, I mean, again, if you guys want to go watch this. This is on News Nation. This is a great little clip of, some information that he was able to garner from that hearing yesterday. And he is picking up on a lot of stuff. He even addresses in here, the defense talking about, body language experts being pseudoscience. He actually addresses that in this this interview with Bryan Inton. Just a really, really, really good interview. I definitely like it without a doubt. And, again, we heard in the court hearing that the FBI has until February 14th, 2023 to turn over those additional documents. And we watched this yesterday, and I kind of wanted to come back here because I found part 2, and I made a mistake. Scarlet Oak King News, has been following me, and then I saw this, so I pulled it up. And I appreciate Scarlet posting this, but this is from AZ Getz. She was the one that's done this, and we've actually watched AZ Getz as well. She's the one that did the interior, and yesterday I couldn't remember her name. So now I'm going to show you part 1 and part 2 of this video, so you can kind of see it together and in conjunction with one another. I thought it was really, really good, and very good, very well done. This AZ Getz has an amazing talent. I don't know what she does for a living, but wow. I mean, she should be hopefully in a reconstruction of crime scene using this very tool. So we're going to watch this, and then we're going to go to part 2. We've seen this yesterday, but for those that are here that weren't here yesterday, this is, some of what we showed.
Is believed to have entered the neighborhood at 3:29 a.m. Approaching the house, he noticed the lights are on. This hinders his plan, and he now has to rethink things. He continues on to the back where he sees even more lights on. From the affidavit, we know he drove by the house 3 times in less than 5 minutes, probably trying to figure out what to do next. He finally decides to leave the area for a little while and observes the lights are on one last time in front as he drives off. Cameras show him leaving the neighborhood and exiting on Valenta Drive in this direction. It's uncertain which way he went from this point here, but we know that he is seen here at this location at 3:45 a.m., caught on a gas station security camera. Wondering if this could truly be a 2015 Elantra, I downloaded a known image of one with a similar angle of view. I then entered that into a 3D modeling software and added some lighting, and then tilted the camera to get a similar angle. I then animated the image to be traveling at 40 miles per hour, giving motion blur, which ended with this result. Though not scientific, we can see very close similarities that this is a 2015 Elantra. Back to the map. We see the suspect re-enters the neighborhood at 4:04 a.m. He drives up to the house and slows down. Looking at the windows, he sees the lights are now off. Continuing to the back, he checks to see if those lights are off. They are. He's excited. He knows everyone is finally in bed, but he wants to check the front one last time. As he drives down, he's filled with adrenaline, seeing the lights are all off. His brain short circuits for a second as he clumsily tries to turn around in front of the house. It fails, but he regains composure and drives on. He's caught on camera making a 3-point turn at the end of the street to return back to the residence. He does his final drive to the back of the house. Minutes later, he's entering the kitchen through the sliding glass door.
All right. And so now we're going to go. This is going to be this is not going to be as wide angle as what we have currently. So I'm going to try to, if I can, I'm going to try to blow it up.
In the beginning, most of us believe.
Oh, it won't let me blow it up.
What I want to talk about.
Sorry.
Let's talk.
We'll leave it there. That's all I can do.
In the beginning, most of us believed the 2 surviving roommates, Bethany and Dylan, were sleeping on the first floor. Since then, we've learned Dylan was sleeping here on the 2nd floor, along with Xana and Ethan located here. Kaylee and Madison were located here on the 3rd floor. The dog was located on the 3rd floor.
If you've been following the
well, let me do everything I do. I just keep screwing with it.
In the beginning, most of us believed the 2 surviving roommates, Bethany and Dylan, were sleeping on the 1st floor. Since then, we've learned Dylan was sleeping here on the 2nd floor, along with Xana and Ethan located here. Kaylee and Madison were located here on the 3rd floor. The dog was located on the 3rd floor and the room by itself. Let's move around and see through the walls into the kitchen, to the back slider, and take a look at the time frames. At 4:04 a.m., the suspect can be seen trying to park his car. At 4:09, approximately 5 minutes later, he enters the house through the back slider. At 4:18, he leaves the house after committing the crimes. At 4:20, he's caught on camera driving away at a high rate of speed. All of this only took 9 minutes. Let's watch what that looks like. The suspect enters through the back sliding door. He pauses at the stairs to look around and make sure no one's up. He then turns and goes upstairs. The first bedroom he stops at and opens the door, he sees no one there. He continues to the next bedroom. Here we know what happens. Downstairs, Dylan is sleeping. The noise from upstairs wakes her up. She thinks it's Kaylee playing with her dog. She gets up and goes to the door and looks out. She sees nothing there. The suspect then continues down the stairs about 3 minutes later. He then heads to Xana's room. Outside, there's a security camera picking up some whimpering, cries, and a thud at 417. We've learned that Xana was found on the floor, which might.
And one thing I don't like is that she forgets that Dylan Mortensen opened her door that time when she heard the whimpering. So she missed that door opening because she's only got Dylan opened the door twice. So that's the only error in this particular rendering.
Which might explain the thud. Dylan again hears something and looks outside her door. She sees the suspect. He walks right past her and leaves.
So there you guys have it. That was the second part of this. Sorry. It was a little hard to go through all of that. Okay, where? Hold on. Sorry, it's still going. There we go. I didn't realize it was still going. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. So we actually did pretty good on time. We still have a couple more things to discuss. So I will be back later today, but, nothing's really going on. It seems like the media got reprimanded yet again from the judge about the cameras. I can see that these cameras are driving the judge nuts. Anybody, challenging the judge on anything just needs to back off, I'm speechless. The judge has Bullhorn Betty speechless. That should be the next conversation, like the next live. Okay, so I'm going to get to, now that we're winding down, sorry, this is a shorter live. We typically do two hours in the morning, but I have to be at the eye doctor. Christina, thank you for being the newest member of the Coffee Club, followed by MJ. Mary Thomas, 8th-month member. Thank you and God bless you. She says, happy hump day. Blessings to all here. Thank you, Mary. You're so kind. Betty fan. Holy moly. 14 months. 14 months. Betty fan has been part of the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club family for 14 months. She says, good morning, Betty and everyone. Sunshine, love, BHB is the best. Julie, she has gifted several memberships. If you received your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership, please kindly be sure to tell her thank you. Lady O, member for 2 months. God bless you. Thank you for believing in me and being part of this channel. The Real Me Too. Betty, we are related. And then, of course, Jennifer with her unicorn. God bless you. Let's keep everybody that is in our channel that is struggling today with whatever problem that you may have. We're going to keep you in our prayers. I hope everyone has an amazing day. We will be back. We're not done. I didn't even get through half of the stuff that I wanted to get through today. So we will be coming back. We're going to be going over that Brady and Giglio disclosure. We're going to be kind of dissecting a little more in a little more detail with the hearing yesterday. That'll all be coming this afternoon. I was planning on doing a road trip, in light of my back. I just don't think I can, I'm just not ready for a 10-hour drive just yet, but it will be coming. As soon as I'm healed up, we will go on a road trip and make sure that it is a wonderful, wonderful trip. Anyways, guys, take care. God bless each and every one of you. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Be kind to one another, folks, right? We need to be kind. There's enough ugly in this world. We don't want to be part of it. So bake up that good karma and consider doing something, some random act of kindness for a perfect stranger today or throughout the next week. God bless each and every one of you. Until next time, please be safe and kind to one another. God bless.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.